One day after I talked about how bad of a mayor Lori Lightfoot was in Chicago, she gone.
This is ultra easy.
Yeah, guys. So I just want to make a quick video about the news that I heard this morning on the way to work that Mayor Lori Lightfoot from Chicago was she did not actually. I think she conceded the election that she was in to become mayor again, and I gotta say, this is what I was saying yesterday. I'm not gonna say that I called it, but I'm gonna say that she wasn't doing a very good job, and I'll get to those points here in a minute. But this is the first time that a mayor has lost a re-election in 40 years. I believe I read that statistic, which is outrageous. That just goes to show there that the people there did not want her, or maybe the powers that be didn't want her because she might have been bringing too much heat on the party. Honestly, she's a Democrat. If you saw yesterday's video, I talked about how the Democrats they always got some schemes going on. There's always a lot going on. That it always seems like there's stuff going on behind the scenes. That's how guys like me, and I'm sure people like you, get labeled as a conspiracy theory. Because we kind of start putting the pieces together and start kind of looking at it from a different angle, and all of a sudden you're considered a conspiracy theorist for asking too many questions. But it certainly looks like either she lost the election straight up, or maybe it was just her time, and the people who kind of call the shots said that her time was done as the mayor of Chicago. But I will say I'm happy that she's gone. Again, if you guys saw yesterday's video, I was complaining about her and her poor leadership skills and just her lack of leadership all the way around. Chicago is the number one, I guess, like murder capital in the world, or at least the United States, for that, for the sake of that argument. But yeah, so yeah, she's going to be gone. Now, there is a couple of people who are going to be in a runoff election. Brandon Johnson and a guy named Paul Vallis. I think I have those names correct. And they're both going to be pretty much fighting or campaigning on the same thing, which is what we talked about yesterday, just the crime.
We're going to promote 200 more detectives to help solve crime. We're going to spend to make sure that the consent decree is being enacted with all expediency. But we're also going to double the amount of young people that we hire across the city. There's a direct correlation between youth employment and violence reduction. We're going to reopen our mental health centers. The trauma that we are experiencing is quite overwhelming. And we cannot continue to put police officers in position where they have to be social workers and counselors, right? So we're going to be smart about it.
Public safety is the fundamental right of every American. It is a civil right. And it is the principal responsibility of government. And we will have a safe Chicago.
I'm sure they have other talking points and other things that they want to campaign on, but the main thing in Chicago is going to be the crime, because I want to say that, with the whole George Floyd thing, we'll get to more on that in a minute. All these Democrats were talking about defunding the police. We're going to need to get counselors in there. We don't need to have police. We don't, they're going to take away their money and this and that. It caused a big uprising all around the country. People were quitting left and right because they're trying to get their pensions, if you start defunding the police, again, that's another reason why I thought that Democrats, or maybe there's some plan to just completely destroy the country from the inside out. Because if you take away police, crime's going to skyrocket. And yesterday we talked about how there's, the whole no cash bail thing, and just makes no sense. But yeah, so I don't really know too much about those two candidates who are going to be in the runoff election. I do know that the Brandon Johnson guy is a progressive. Not sure what Paul Vallis is, but I will say that Lori Lightfoot, yes, she is gone. She has done nothing but divide the country, her city. She's turned people against each other. She's just done a really, really bad job at being a mayor. And, part of me feels bad because, I don't like when people get fired and this and that. And I know that people have livelihoods and they have feelings and thoughts and all this other stuff. But when, God only knows how many lives her policies and lack of leadership have cost. Right? How many people have died because of her lack of leadership and because of her policies, and other policies that she could have put in place that she didn't, and it led to people getting murdered, shot. Again, defunding the police. We need police officers, and she probably had a part in getting that taken away. But just a few things that she. I can't go into too much detail on all these, because I want to make the video very brief. But a few things that she really dropped the ball on was the pandemic. Her lockdown restrictions were a lot worse than some other states, way worse than Republican states, that's for sure. But I get it that not everyone knew what was going on, and everyone was sort of in a panic. No one knew what to do, but still, I live in Texas. I thought our governor here, Greg Abbott, did a good job, decent job. He left us up to, he followed some guidelines here and there, but he didn't go full crazy like some of these other blue states. And I want to say Chicago was one of them, or Illinois was a state is the state, but the city of Chicago was locked down. So during the George Floyd riots, she was really stoking the flames of racism, which also led to more rioting and more looting. She just pretty much turned a blind eye to that whole thing and just let people do whatever they wanted. Crime rates were skyrocketing. Again, theft went up. I mean, people started moving out of the city. I want to say that Macy's on the Magnificent Mile, which is downtown, I believe, they moved out and they were there forever. Like the Macy's in downtown on the Mag Mile is like a staple. I want to say they left. That's just what I heard. I'll have to double check to see if they actually did end up leaving, but that was a huge loss. And that was a very, very telling thing whenever Macy's pulled the plug on downtown Chicago. We talked about this yesterday. The murder rate and the crime rate in Chicago was just through the roof. I mean, so many people just being killed senselessly, children, women, young adults, older people just being shot. I mean, they call it Chirac for a reason. I mean, it's so funny. These Democrats will always point to these other, whenever there's like a white officer that shoots a black person, and they'll immediately, like the fake news will jump on it and try to, and just stoke division and try to use it to take away guns. But, they'll say it's like a mass shooting and this and that, and they'll try to point at white people for that and make it about white people not, doing the right thing or whatever. But it's funny because they don't ever talk about all the black on black violence in Chicago. And it's a fact, and there's mass shootings in Chicago and Southside Chicago, downtown Chicago all the time, every weekend. Some of the bloodiest weekends in like most cities around the country are in Chicago, in the South Side usually. And Democrats are quiet. Lori Lightfoot did nothing to address the problem. And if she did do anything, it wasn't enough. People were dying there every single weekend. These are lives lost through gang violence, gun violence, whatever. And of course, most Democrats and Biden himself will come after the gun, saying, "Oh, it's not a person problem, it's not a sin problem, it's a gun problem. We need to take away the guns, because I guess the guns sort of shoot themselves." But Lori Lightfoot was very divisive. I mean, with all the things that I said before, she was just very divisive, and she was also a racist as well. If you guys want to just go ahead and be real about it, I remember seeing a story where she was being interviewed by the press, and I guess I don't really know what led up to this, but she said she didn't want any white people in the asking her questions.
The facts are the facts, and the fact is that this press corps does not reflect the diversity of the city.
As Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot passes her second year in office, she angered many local media members with this letter. On the occasion of the 2-year anniversary of my inauguration, I will be exclusively providing one-on-one interviews with journalists of color. Mayor Lori Lightfoot says this is about highlighting and fighting for diversity in the media, specifically the media that covers City Hall. But critics have called this decision discriminatory, performative, and an overreach of executive power. Gregory Pratt, a Latino Chicago Tribune reporter who covers City Hall, declined an opportunity to sit down with the mayor, saying, quote, "I asked the mayor's office to lift its condition on others, and when they said no, we respectfully canceled. Politicians don't get to choose who covers them." Right-wing outlets and commenters decried the mayor's actions as racist.
She only wanted people of color to be in the press room to be asking her questions. Now that's blatantly racist, and I think she even doubled down on it, saying, "Hey, I don't take it back." I don't know what her thinking behind that was, but at the end of the day, it's racist, and she was a racist for doing that. So, because you know what, like last time I checked, white people are a race as well, and they are a color, if you want to say that. And so if you say something bad about any other race, it's considered racist. So this will be considered racist as well. So the public education system, I understand that there's lots of moving parts and there's lots of people involved, and that is not all Lori Lightfoot's fault. but she is the mayor. She has some say. But there wasn't one single student that was proficient in reading or math in Chicago. Like zero kids out of like a bunch. Now again, that doesn't all fall on Lori Lightfoot, but again, she is the mayor of Chicago. Just poor leadership, poor decision making, poor policies lead to all of these things happening. And again, there's lots of other things I could easily say about Lori Lightfoot and why she probably didn't get reelected. But if this just kind of goes to show you, today, I think the story even broke her afterwards, whenever she had her concession speech. Is that the proper word? After she conceded, she said, I'm gonna she's blaming her loss on racism and her gender. So she's saying this because she's black and because she's a woman, and I'm pretty sure it's because she's gay as well. She's a lesbian. She can probably throw that one in the mix too. She didn't in the story that I read, but I'm pretty sure she could have. But yeah, so that just goes to show you right there. There's no accountability. There's just no there's just no sense of awareness, no sense of self. The biggest thing with me is accountability. If you take it on yourself, going, you know what, I should have done a better job. I made terrible decisions at my job, and I understand why they didn't reelect me. No, she lost because of racism and of because of her gender. So that just kind of goes to show you her character and maybe even her personality. But out of all these, whenever she told, I remember seeing the story, this was a year or so ago, and she told the press, I only want people of color in here asking me questions. Wow, that one really set things off, like, in me, and just really going like, wow, who is this person? Really putting them on the radar, and well, there you go. And she didn't get reelected, so thank goodness. We have a lot more work to do cleaning up this country, but that's just one less person we have to worry about destroying the great city of Chicago. Again, I don't know these other two guys and what kind of job they're going to do. I don't know that much about them. It sounds like, from what I heard, that they're going to try to do a good job and really try to tackle the crime in the city, and hopefully they do. So we'll see what happens next for the city of Chicago. My brother lives just 45 minutes outside of the city, and I would love to see that city flourish the way it once was, guys. But what do you think about the story about Lori Lightfoot not being reelected? Do you think that they made a mistake and maybe she should have been reelected? Do you guys think she did a good job? If you do, let me know your thoughts, your reasons why, down in the comments. If you think she was a terrible mayor and my reasons, maybe you have different reasons than I do, then let me know those in the comments as well. I'd love to hear what you guys are thinking about the story and about her. But guys, thanks again so much for subscribing to this channel. I did see I got a couple of new subscribers over the last couple of days. Thanks again, guys. Please turn on notifications on this channel. That way you guys can be up to date on any new videos that come out. Like this video if you can, guys. The liking this video really does help kind of share the algorithm of the videos, and that way more people can see them. Also, apparently, if you dislike the video, does the same thing. So if you want to do that, that's cool too. Guys, follow me on Twitter, Ultra Izzy. There you guys will see stories that I can't talk about on YouTube. Nothing too crazy, but just YouTube nowadays. You guys know how they are. I always say it. But guys, as always, stay safe out there, guys, and stay fearless and stay free. I'll see you guys on the next one.